Good morning, PCOS fighters. Today, I want to talk to you about a question or a concern that I got from someone just the other day. And what happened is in my Facebook group, the PCOS Fighters Tribe Facebook group, a woman got in there and said, look, I'm eating like 500 calories. No, actually, I can't remember the exact number, but it's somewhere around there, right? It was a really, really low number of calories. And she's like, I'm not losing any weight. Why is this? How can this be? And somebody else jumped on there, and I kind of gave an answer, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about what I shared with her. But then somebody else got in there and goes, well, John, tell me this. Okay, and I don't know her tone, but this is the kind of how it felt as she was saying things. This is how it felt to me. She's like, well, tell me this. How come when I started eating more food, all of a sudden I lost weight? And I want to explain that to you today. Okay, I want to explain how PCOS affects your ability to lose weight and things like that, because you can eat almost nothing and still not lose weight. And as you increase your food, you can start losing weight, but it has nothing to do with something we call starvation mode. Okay, let me explain what the typical understanding of starvation mode is, at least what I hear most people say. Okay, there's no scientific backing for starvation mode. There's nothing that says it's actually real. Okay, but let's kind of define this really quick. My understanding of starvation mode is that as someone drops their calories down really low, okay, again, some arbitrary number, we don't know what the number is necessarily, but if we drop our calories down really low, then what happens is all of a sudden our fat cells make it so that we can't burn fat, we can't release fat, but we absorb everything. And so people will say, well, when you're in starvation mode, when you eat food, all your body does is stores it because it can't burn it. Okay? That does not happen in any way, any form whatsoever. Okay? We will burn the food we eat. We've got to create energy, and the way that we create energy is by burning the food, burning fats, burning proteins, burning carbohydrates. Okay, using ketones, even alcohol can be used as a fuel source. Okay, we have to have those things to create energy, and if we do not have those things, we die. Okay, let's just plain and simple. If starvation mode were real and people who ate very few calories, if their body said, I'm not going to release any of this and I'm going to store everything, then people who are anorexic would be dying of obesity, not of not getting enough food. We wouldn't. Literally, that's what would happen. We wouldn't see these really skinny bones of people who are anorexic. They would all be, either normal weight or would be gaining weight, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So we have to accept this. Starvation mode does not exist, but our results can be masked. And that's why we tend to believe that maybe there is a starvation mode. Maybe we feel like we're eating nothing and we're exercising and nothing's happening. The scale's not changing. There must be something going on with my body. Well, let me explain why this happens, because it does. It does. A lot of people will tell you, no, it does not happen in any way, form whatsoever. If you're eating very few calories and you're not gaining weight, it means you're lying, right? That's what I hear people say all the time. And I don't believe that's true necessarily. Okay, yeah, there are some cases. I have had some people, not necessarily lying, but there are some people who maybe don't understand what they're eating. I've had people tell me, I eat nothing and I can't lose weight. And then as I ask more questions and I dive a little bit deeper, they don't eat anything. And by definition, we mean put food in your mouth, chew it, and then swallow it. They don't do that, but they drink a lot. And they say, all I have is a latte in the morning. And then when we actually get together and look at how many calories there are in that latte, it's a meal. It is a full meal. And they're drinking, 3,000 and 4,000 calories a day, but they didn't realize that. They thought, I didn't realize that what I was drinking had so many calories and could affect me the same way as food, right? Because they had a different definition of what food was and of what these drinks were. Okay, so there's situations like that can happen. But, okay, here's what you need to do, especially if you have PCOS. Number one is if you feel like you're eating in a calorie deficit. So if you feel like, I put my information into one of these calorie calculators, these food trackers, and it said that I am burning 1,800 calories per day, okay? And so I'm eating 1,500. Well, number one is you have to realize this. If you have PCOS, you need to drop that number by about 10% up to 40%. Okay, there was a study done, I think it was in 2009, that looked at PCOS and metabolism. They tracked, okay, when at rest, how many calories does a normal woman burn, and how many calories does someone with PCOS burn, and how many calories does someone with PCOS with insulin resistance burn? And what they found was a normal woman burned an average it was somewhere around like 1,800 calories. But if they had PCOS, it was 1,500 calories. And if they had insulin resistance, this one shocked me. If they have PCOS and insulin resistance, their average calorie burn is about 1,100 calories. Okay? Think about that for a second. If you're going based off those calorie calculators, they're wrong already, because they're not taking into consideration that your metabolism is a little bit slower. But why would a woman with PCOS metabolism be slower? And a big reason why, there's two main reasons. Number one, especially with insulin resistance, okay? With insulin resistance, you're not able to get the carbohydrates into your cells to be used to create energy. That's a big problem. Number two is what we just found out a couple weeks ago, is that with PCOS, your body also doesn't handle a molecule called carnitine. Okay, and carnitine is literally the molecule that binds to fat and pulls it into the mitochondria where we can create energy from it. And so you're also not creating energy there. These are the reasons why a lot of women with PCOS complain of fatigue. You're literally not creating the energy. Okay, so we have to help the insulin resistance, and we have to help the carnitine be able to move fat into your fat cells. And I talked about that a couple weeks ago, talking about carnitine. You should be supplementing with carnitine. That will actually increase your metabolism by pulling in fuel that you can use so you can create more energy. Okay, does that all make sense? So realize that your metabolism is already slower. Okay, so if you're going off of the calorie calculators, they are wrong. If you're saying it says that I'm burning 1,800 calories, so I'm eating 1,500, you're probably burning 1,500 to 1,400, and you need to eat less. Okay, well, I'm actually gonna get to that in a second. I'm wrong in saying that. You don't need to eat less. We'll talk about that. Okay, now the second reason why you may not be losing weight is because of cortisol. Okay, cortisol does a lot of really cool, interesting things in our body, but it also can cause some problems. Short-term cortisol is amazing. Long-term cortisol causes some serious effects that we need to be careful of. Okay, so one thing that cortisol does is it actually causes us to retain water. And so when cortisol levels get higher and higher and higher, your water retention goes up higher and higher and higher. Okay, so how do we raise cortisol? I mean, I don't know if you've ever had this experience. You go to the doctor, you got some pain or something like that, and you have to get a cortisone shot. Cortisone is a cortisol-like substance, and so it can cause some similar things. You get a cortisone shot, and then you see the scale start to go up. Why? Again, retaining water. So how do we cause cortisol to go up? Number one is when you start eating less food than you need to maintain your energy balance, cortisol levels go up. Okay? If your blood sugar levels get too low, cortisol levels go up. PCOS itself tends to raise cortisol levels, which will cause you to retain water. Does that make sense? So if you're not eating enough food, you're going to retain water. What's that going to do to the scale? It's going to keep it from dropping, or it's going to cause it to stay the same. Okay? So a lot of times I'll see people, they get really frustrated. They get on the scale hasn't moved, and they're just, oh, this is so frustrating. I have someone right now, she's been in the program for, I think, 2 months, and she's lost 0 pounds. Okay? Now, you might be thinking to yourself, that's not good. You know, oh, why has she been doing this for 2 months and she hasn't lost a single pound? But she's lost several inches. She is thrilled by her results. She's baffled she hasn't lost a single pound yet, but she is absolutely thrilled by her results. And every week she sends me a message. She goes, I'm so excited. I'm down another pant size. Or she posts a picture in our group. Look, I'm wearing a shirt that I used to wear in high school. I'm so excited. But why is the scale not moving, right? And there's other reasons that I'm not necessarily going to get into in this video because we're talking about if calories too low and starvation mode. Okay, so cortisol is an issue. So how do we get cortisol levels to drop? Well, number one is you eat more food. Have you ever had this experience where you're following a diet for, let's say, 5 days, 7 days, or whatever, 5 days, and you get on the scale every day and nothing's changing, and then like Friday or Saturday comes and you're like, I haven't lost any weight. Forget it. And you throw your hands in the air, you go out and you eat a bunch of junk food. Then you get on the scale Sunday or Monday and your weight's down. And you think to yourself, well, what's the point? Right? I eat really well, nothing happens. I eat junk food and I lose weight. Oh my goodness, what's the point? Well, actually, those two things work together. While you were eating really well for those 5 days, you were losing fat, but you were retaining water. Okay? Once you ate that junk food, now your body said, whew, we can relax a little bit, cortisol levels drop, water gets kicked out, and all of a sudden the scale goes down. Those two things were working together. So one thing that I have my clients do is I actually have strategic days. I hate calling them cheat days, okay? We do not do cheat days. I mean, you're not cheating at all. You're not cheating on your diet, not cheating on anything, okay? You are strategically increasing your calories so that you can drop your cortisol levels down. So what do? Twice a week or so, we have them have what I call free meals, where rules kind of go out the window in terms of what they can eat. Now, we always eat mindfully, but we don't necessarily worry about what types of foods they're eating. And that way it drops cortisol throughout the week. Okay. So that's one thing we can do. Now, another thing that we can do is maybe we need to start increasing the total calories that you are, not necessarily total calories, but the amount of food that you're eating. So we're getting enough nutrients. Because one thing that happens is when we get our calorie levels too low, we also cut out nutrients. So we're not getting our vitamins and our minerals and those phytochemicals and all the different nutrients we need from our diet. And so if we're not doing that, if we're not getting those things, that can actually make your metabolism slower. And the reason why is it's almost like with your engine. If you take a spark plug out, now your engine doesn't work as well. Same type of thing. Your vitamins and minerals, these are like your spark plugs. They help things work just a little bit better. And so if we add those things in, then you're doing better. So what we want to do is increase the nutrients that you're consuming. And the two nutrients I'm mostly concerned about are protein and then your vitamins and minerals. And the way we do that is through vegetables. So what I always have people do is increase their protein and increase their vegetables. And a lot of times I'll have someone say, well, but I'm eating a ton of protein already. I'm eating so much protein. And then they tell me the exact amount of protein they're eating. It's not enough, okay? Usually it's not enough. Or they'll say, well, I'm getting a lot of vegetables in. Well, how many? Oh, I'm getting like 3 servings a day. You probably should be getting about 6 to 9 servings a day for most people, okay? And again, depending on the individual, there may be some changes that I would make here and there for somebody. Not everyone should be doing those things depending on different conditions. If you have kidney disease, yes, I'm not going to recommend you have a ton of protein. If you have some sort of inability to digest certain vitamins and minerals, or certain fibers and things, yes, I'm not going to recommend lots of certain vegetables and things. Okay, so again, it depends on the individual. So those are things we need to take into consideration. Okay, cortisol. Oh, one thing I totally missed is we need to accept that there may be a chance you're actually eating more than you think you are, okay? Now, if you cannot accept that this may be a chance, you're not going to be able to succeed, because there have been studies done over and over again looking at people who are they do a food journal and they say, look, I'm eating 1,000 calories and I'm not losing weight. But then they'll give them something called doubly labeled water, and they'll track their metabolism, and they'll make sure that with the doubly labeled water, we can find out how many calories you consumed and how many calories you burned, okay? And so they'll give them that, or they'll do different metabolic tests to see what's going on, and they find out these people are actually eating about 3,000 calories when they believe they're eating 1,000 calories. Now, is that their fault? Are these people lying? Are they just so what's the word? Ignorant's the only word I can come up with, but I don't know if that's the word I'm thinking of. But are they so ignorant that they don't understand calories and all those things? Not necessarily, okay? One thing that a lot of people don't know is that the FDA, at least here in the US, the FDA allows a 20% variability or 20% error on your nutrition facts. So if your nutrition facts say that something has 200 calories in it, it could actually have as high as 240. Okay, it can be off by 20%. Or if it says it had 100 calories, it can have as much as 200 calories. So if you think you're eating 2,000 calories in a day, just by the error that's on the box is you could be at 2,200 or 2,400, that's what it is, 2,400 calories over the course of an entire day. That's 400 calories more. That's the difference between losing weight and gaining weight, right? That's one error that's on there. Along with that, there's measurement errors. We may think we're measuring out a cup when we're actually measuring out a little bit more, a little bit less. So there's a lot of different things that could be happening with that. And so that's why I don't trust food journals in terms of someone saying, well, I'm eating this many calories. I don't trust it. The research world, anytime the study says we just had them track their food intake and we calculated calories from that, the research world goes, no, we don't trust those. We do not trust food journals, okay? Because we are notoriously wrong with that. Even the best of people, bodybuilders, they're off by roughly, I think about 500 calories for most of them. Okay, so there's some things to kind of take into consideration. Does your body hold on to fat if you're not eating enough? No, it does not. Okay, fat is actually one of the first fuel sources you're going to use if you're starving, because really it's carbohydrates that our body wants to spare. It always does. It always will. Okay, so you're going to use fat. Our body does not hold on to fat. But why does the scale not move? Because potentially water. Muscle, no, I'm not going to say muscle. People use that all the time. Well, muscle weighs more than fat. If you put on a pound of muscle in a week, you're a freak of nature, okay? You have to be taking some sort of steroids or something to even come close to that. There's no way people put on a pound or 5 pounds of muscle in a week. There is absolutely no way that happens, okay? Could you put on 5 pounds of water? Definitely, easily, okay? 10 pounds of water? Oh, you bet, easily, okay? So water is probably the bigger thing that's happening with that. So all we need to do is realize that's a possibility, okay? Do you notice physical changes? Do you notice inches being changed? If inches are changing, you're seeing progress, regardless of what the scale's doing, okay? If you are noticing physical changes, because sometimes inches may not change, but you'll notice things start to smooth out. You'll notice that things fit a little bit differently. Those are indicators of progress. Way too often I see people give up on their plan because they're seeing progress, but not the progress they expect to see. They expect to see the scale go down. If it doesn't go down, I must not be seeing progress. The truth is, scale is the worst indicator of progress, okay? So don't necessarily go off that. Yeah, you can use it, just don't necessarily go off of it. All right, I hope this all makes sense. Now, if you would like more information on how to help your PCOS, how to work with your PCOS, I have put together a free training. All you need to do is go to fatextractionmethod.com. And if you're watching this live right now, it's not up yet, okay? But you can go there. I'll have that up in the near future. But you can go to fatextractionmethod.com and go to that free training. I'll have it up by the end of the day. If you're watching this or listening to this a little bit later, then it's up. It's ready to go. You can get access to it. But I have a free training that I have for you. And go to fatextractionmethod.com and you can check that out. And I will talk to you all later. Hey there, I hope you liked this video and I hope you got something from it, something you can go and apply today. And if you did, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like this video. And more importantly, go ahead and share it with your friends so that they can get the same benefit that you have. Thanks for watching, and I've got more to share with you in the coming weeks.